quote, "Our policy is to not increase digital sales, but to maximize video game sales, including physical format sales. That policy will remain the same in the future." That was from Shuntaro Furukawa, Nintendo president, to the shareholders in 2024 on the physical format. This is something that I feel that is very important to say, and that's why I started out with it first. People online are trying to paint a narrative that it's some type of inevitable format that we have to move over to all digital because that's what people buy the most. So since people buy that the most and it's just something that's happening, therefore it has to be that way, all while ignoring that we still get Blu-rays, that we still get CDs, that we still get vinyl, that we still get all of these old school formats that existed before video games, and how most people still stream movies and watch Netflix and all of that, yet that's the majority, yet somehow you can still pick up a physical Blu-ray copy of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So this video, we're going to be talking about what you can do and some of the stuff that I've seen that is just outright not true. This is a fluid situation, guys. It's something that can still be prevented despite what Sony, one of the market leaders when it comes to third-party games, the market leader when it comes to a lot of console sales with third-party titles and all that. It's a big deal that they are pulling out of physical games. But it's not over, and I also wanted to address the situation with Nintendo and kind of go back with that. This is an important video, and I think I'm going to make some good points here. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. On Twitter, Reese Kiwi Talks, who I support. I think he's a great person. He's dropped by the stream, the channel many times, and he stated this on Twitter: "If you think Nintendo will continue physical forever, then you'll be disappointed. There will come a point in time where Nintendo will abandon physical as well, just like Sony, probably next gen. So don't be so quick to be like, yay, Nintendo W. A digital future is inevitable." And that's the reason why I started up with that first quote from Mr. Shuntaro Furukawa. They're trying to maximize sales just in general. If you do only digital and not physical, it kind of just puts away the stuff that you can do when it comes to the collector's editions. Although we've seen digital collector's editions and stuff like that, deluxe editions, I get that, but people rather have something that you can physically buy with those. They're much more willing to buy that if it's an actual real physical edition. But Shuntaro Furukawa on Nintendo, they know how much people like physical games, and I think that the compromise was key cards, in addition to having the full on-cart games that they do for all of the Nintendo big first-party published titles. Even some of the smaller stuff, like Rhythm Heaven, still gets a physical version, which I did buy that. It's coming in the mail here. So the thing with this, guys, is that it's not inevitable if we show them that we still want physical games. We have the data. Nintendo put out the data. I'm going to put it up right here on screen for you guys. The data shows that there's still a large percentage of people that are buying physical games. There is a big percentage of people that are buying physical games. Nintendo's in no position to sit there and say, all of you guys just skip your physical games and just buy all digital. It doesn't say that at all. Some people were trying to say, oh, your data shows that it's just digital's the inevitability. It's going to. Okay, so is streaming. And yet we still have Blu-rays. We still have different ways to watch physical. Those are still a thing at this point. That doesn't mean they need to go away just because there are more people now at this point buying digital than there were 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever the case is. It's still a very viable and good market. And this is not even cope or hopium by me. This is the actual data and the facts. When it comes down to it, you still see Blu-rays, you still see vinyl, you still see CDs. Heck, the Tomb Raider Special Edition comes with a CD. And I talk about, wow, CDs in 2026. Not saying that that's how most people do their music. Most people stream it. Most people use Spotify and all that. But that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be options for people when it comes to what they want for a physical version of it. And people provide that. There's still providers for that. So when I look at people online saying that, oh, well, Nintendo's going to do it next gen. Says who? If we still support them, if we go out there and buy physical games at a 50% ratio or 40% ratio, it is going to be very difficult for any smart person within Nintendo to say, all right, yeah, guys, next gen, no more physical games at all. I think they're going to be like, you know what? People still want that. So we're going to supply that. They're going to find ways to get it done. If you look at what's happening here on Twitter, I put up this post. I said, support full on-cart physical when you can. Gotta show Nintendo and the industry we still want real physical games. And I showed Star Fox, Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, and Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. All of these games are in the $50 to $60 range for physical, with the exception of Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which is a massive game. That's going to be $80, but you can get it pre-order wise at Walmart and at Amazon for $70 for the physical edition. And of course, there is a special edition that you can get as well. So when it comes to supporting physical, there are options there. If Nintendo sees that so many people are buying physical, they're not just going to drop it out of nowhere. It is a W. And we need to start getting into this, I would say, thing of saying, look, when something's good that Nintendo does, yes, nobody's perfect. I'm not trying to say Nintendo is. There are some things that I don't like. I don't like game key cards. We'll talk about that more in just a bit. I don't like $80 Mario Kart or even $80 Fire Emblem when it comes to the MSRP. There's a lot of things that I don't like. But if there is a W to be pointed out so the gaming industry can see, oh, people want that, it should be pointed out. It should not be brushed aside and said, oh, well, it doesn't matter. They're going to do this. It's not a W. No, yes, it is. Yes, it is a W. And we can still, like I said, change this. We can still keep this a fluid situation. It is not set in stone that Nintendo has already made their decision, no matter what next gen, that they're going to be doing all digital. Like I said, if they see huge amounts of people buying physical games, they know good and well that they have to make sure that they support physical games. It's the same reason why when people were trying to say that Nintendo's not going to do backwards compatibility with Switch 1 games, I'm like, no, they know good and well that there's a large amount of people that are still playing Switch 1, that are still buying Switch 1 games, and that want to have instant access to their library. On top of that, if you look at the competitors in the market, whether it's Steam or it's PlayStation or it's Xbox, they all have backwards compatibility to one form or another. Why would you put out a brand new system that's going to be a bit more pricier and not give people instant access to all of those games? It made zero sense, and people were trying to argue on Twitter and on YouTube comment section that no, they're going to do it. They want you to rebuy every single Nintendo Switch 1 game in the world. And I'm like, that's not logical. Like, they can't do that. They're not going to remaster every single Nintendo Switch 1 game for Nintendo Switch 2. That makes zero sense. And they have the Nintendo account system down, so your account's going to transfer over. So to me, it never made sense. And obviously, of course, they did backwards compatibility, and they did the best backwards compatibility that they've ever done in their full history, with games being part physical or part actual hardware and part emulation, to where they run better on the Nintendo Switch 2. So they even made backwards compatibility better than what people were expecting. So this situation, when it comes to physical games, it's not over. It's something that we can still fight. It's something that we can still do. It's something that we can still support. And Nintendo will see that, okay, they're out there, they're supporting it. And I think that they are. I mean, there's so many reports of Star Fox being sold out at certain locations, like at Walmarts and different stuff. I've seen a lot of people show off their physical versions of Star Fox. Now, I'm not here to police the type of mediums that you guys buy, okay? I'm not saying that you have to do that. All I'm saying is that if you're someone that does care, if you want to see that, it might be okay to buy a physical game or two and actually have a cartridge. Yes, digital is super convenient, and I get that. I get some digital games every now and then. I bought Romancing Saga, Revenge of the Seven. I bought that game digital, and I bought it physical on the Nintendo Switch 1 to support the developers, because that game is awesome. Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven. That game is so good. But I do think that, once again, if we are out here in full force online, if we're out here actually showing that we're supporting, not just talking, it's going to be a different scenario. And I think that even with PlayStation, who knows? Maybe this thing is not done yet. Maybe if enough people cancel their PSNs, or if enough people stop buying digital, or if the sales go down, they're going to change their mind. We don't know at this point. Now, once again, I'm not telling you guys to grab the pitchforks. You can do what you want to do. But for me, I'm not buying any digital games on PlayStation. I'm not going to buy any digital games on PlayStation. I'm going to be supporting physical games when I see them, and that's what I'll do. And it's put into question whether I'm even going to purchase a PlayStation 6 if they continue to go down this route. I need to see that they're at least trying when it comes to the physical games. Now, I want to talk about game key cards real quick, because we still have people that have been lying about game key cards now for a year. We have Steam PC people that have no idea what they're talking about, that are going on Twitter and saying things, because this one person says, tell us what happens to that game key card when the games get delisted on the Switch store. And this is something that you shouldn't be asking a question about, because you have the history of the Wii store, the Wii U eShop, the 3DS eShop. All of those are shut down. So this is something that you could already simply just look up if you weren't just lying about Nintendo Switch 2 and key cards for a year now. If you simply just weren't a liar, and if you're someone that simply just wanted to do an ounce of research before you speak, you'd be able to easily find the answer to this. Now, luckily for all of us and people on Twitter, Mr. Nintendo Prime was able to answer this question quite easily, probably not even thinking. And he says, why do people do this? It's like they want me to defend game key cards by simply explaining what they are. Game key cards are not connected to your account or to the eShop in any way. Games getting delisted don't impact game key cards. They have their own servers. The thing about that is that even if they were tied to the storefront, they would still be on a server to where you could re-download them. When it comes to the Wii and Wii U, you can still connect those systems to the internet right now, go on the eShops or go on the places like your account and download the games that you already purchased. So even the Wii, which the shop shut down a while ago, you can go on the original Wii where you purchased the games, like when you purchase WiiWare games, and they'll still be available there to re-download. Keep that in mind. That's the Wii, and that was before an account system. It was tied to your system itself. So you can still re-download old WiiWare games. You can still re-download old virtual console games or whatever. Same thing with the Wii U. You can still re-download all of your games that you purchased on there. They're re-downloadable right there on your Wii U. Now, game key cards are not tied to an account, so they're on a server. Nintendo just stores them there. So even if the eShop somehow gets shut down or something like that, you would still have access to that with the server that's there, just like the Wii and the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS. Those things are all still stuff that you can do, and those are more tied to the system/account. Game key cards, those are tied to the actual physical thing. It's like a digital key that you have to be able to get that content. I don't think Nintendo's servers are going to go down anytime soon when it comes to that, considering the Wii, the 3DS, and the Wii U are still up, and you can still get those games from there. So, like I said, this person's been lying about game key cards for a year straight. I'd rather have the game full on cart. But if you're asking me what's better between a game key card and not having anything at all, I would say a game key card by 100 times, because a game key card, once again, is not tied to your account. And since it's not tied to your account, that means Nintendo cannot meddle with it. Now, Sony can access your account and can easily remove games from your library. We're seeing what they did with movies. They removing people's movies from their library. Sony just did that. So since they did that, they can do that with games. And there's been situations where people have lost their games. Now, once again, there's been some extreme scenarios on why that happened or what's going on there. But at the same time, if you're looking at what's happening here when it comes to how you access your games or anything like that, game key cards, once again, at least gives that option of, oh, I can sell this, it's not tied to my account, and I can trade it, I can lend it out, I can borrow it. It is definitely better than Nintendo saying, well, we're just going to do all digital, no more physical at all. Because there are some games when it comes to game key cards that are necessary. So games like Star Wars Outlaws, because of the Snowdrop engine and how they stream assets for an open world game, the cartridges are too slow. So maybe next generation Nintendo figures out a way to speed up those cartridges considerably. I think that's something that Nintendo could work on, and people will pay for. If the price goes up to 80 for all the game cards or whatever, I think people are willing to do that, as long as you give us a digital option that's cheaper too, like they're doing right now with the Switch 2, where you have digital cheaper than physical. Okay, no problem. I understand. I get that. So to me, at least, once again, if we continue to buy the physical option, they can continue to invest in the physical option, and we can get physical games and we can get digital games and they can be how they're supposed to be when it comes to that. So those are my thoughts on all this. I think I've ranted long enough on that. But if you're still here, let me know what you think in the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.